The following is a production of the Neighborhood Sports Network.
This is the NSPN Prep Update, a weekly look at scores, highlights, and stories from across the state. Hello and welcome to the NSPN Prep Update. I'm Ryan Phelps. This week we're at Target Center in Minneapolis to close out the winter season with the boys state basketball tournament. On today's show, we have a feature on Tartan, the team that the Strib varsity had as #1 on their top 25 for most of the season. We take a closer look at Blake and the Waseca boys, and we head to the northwest suburbs with our school snapshot. But first, here are some of our favorite sounds from the neighborhood.
Wiggins with three. Wiggins downhill. Wiggins at the basket, blocked. It's over. Apple Valley pulls the upset. The Eagles are on to the state semifinals.
They do have 6 fouls, so the next one puts Northfield in the bonus. Great drive.
Oh, there it is, and a one on Petzel as Caden Oakland continues a brilliant second half.
He's going to stay in the game or not.
There's a nice reversal backside pass and a dunk. That'll get the crowd roaring, and a foul on the play.
He's been playing above the rim this whole second half.
Takes the screen from Sandifer Housey. Hesitation, move to Snell. Snell caught it, went right up with it, scored it, drew the foul.
Give it up to Gavin down the lane. Misses shot, rebound Udine. Udine on the break, behind the back, in transition, down the lane, scoops it up and in. How about that?
We had to wait an extra week to get to the boys state basketball tournament this season with the Gopher women hosting the NCAAs. But it was worth the wait, with great storylines and a few upsets along the way. Here's a wrap on this year's championship. We start in Class 1A, Janesville Waldorf Pemberton versus Hills Beaver Creek. Both teams looking for their first boys basketball championship in school history. JWP with the first points of the game, but HBC went on a 13-0 run to seize the momentum, capped by this basket by Jamin Metzger. Hills Beaver Creek would lead by 23 at the half. Bulldogs regroup at halftime and came out of the locker room on fire. Just one made three-pointer in the first half, but Gavin Bauer connects to cut the lead to 15. In 2.5 minutes of second half play, the Bulldogs equaled their first half output. The lead, however, would never go under 10, mainly thanks to Jamin Metzger. This powerful layup would put Hills Beaver Creek up by 27. Metzger would finish with a double-double, 22 points and 13 rebounds, and added 4 assists and 2 blocks. Brody Metzger added 13, and Micah Bush had 10. The rest of the Patriots would help out to a plus 24 advantage in rebounds, as Hills Beaver Creek would follow up a 9-player football prep bowl title earlier this year with the 64-33 win, the first boys basketball championship in school history. Minnehaha Academy and Goodhue. Early on in the Class 2A championship was an old-fashioned inside scoring matchup. Michael Rushman left all alone underneath, but a point of emphasis this year was keeping an eye on flops. The referees give warnings on the first observed flop and fouls after. Speaking of old-fashioned, how about the no-look pass from Mason Tao to Malachi Snell for the hoop? 5 assists for Tao in the first half, just 1 made three-pointer, and a combined 40 points in the paint as Goodhue took a 2-point lead into the break. In a game like this, any advantage can be a spark to take over. Kellen Troop with a huge three-pointer to take a 2-point lead in the back-and-forth early part of the second half. 8th grader Carter Cupido with the assist. The second half belonged to Kellen Troop. After picking up 3 fouls in the first half, he had to sit for a while, but came back to the game a new man. This dunk got the Red Hawk fans on their feet. Tao gets his 7th assist, 24 points for Troop, 4 of 6 from three-point land, and a bunch of dunks, and 9 rebounds to boot. Mason Tao with 10 points and 7 dishes. Cupido added 12 points, Aiden Green 21, and Mecky Abner had 8 points and 14 rebounds in the 81-69 win. That foiled some great Goodhue performances, 25 points for Alex Lose, 22 for Luke Russian. It's the 6th title for Minnehaha Academy and their first since 2021. Class 3A, De La Salle versus Totino Grace. This championship game was a track meet from the start. Totino Grace guard Jalen Hines knocks down a triple midway through the first half, one of 4 threes he'd hit in the opening half. But that was quickly followed by an alley-oop. Ichima Adoko assisting Kamar Thomas on the flush. A technical foul was called after the slam, but the teams got back to work. Totino Grace would take a 10-point lead into halftime. Dathany Jatambola, a Mr. Basketball Top 10 selection, had a quiet first half with just 4 points, but turned it on late to help his Eagles. This dunk, assisted by Shea Jackson, would give his team the spark they would need, as the Islanders would not go away easy. Adoko would make sure of that. The high-flying Islanders would entertain the crowd all game long with plays like this. Adoko assisted on a dunk earlier in the game, but this one came off of technical fouls on both teams, helping the Islanders to keep focus. In the end, even though Totino Grace didn't have a field goal in the last 3.5 minutes of the game, they got key free throws, and this key steal from Tyan Chapman to win 72-70. Hines led the Eagles with 19, including 5 three-pointers. Ijatambola finished with 13 points and 10 rebounds. Chapman added 13 and 6 to his championship-sealing steal. For the Eagles, it's their 4th overall championship, all of them in the last 5 years. To Class 4A, and the most unlikely title matchup was also the last one of the night, as number 5 Chaska, who upset Tartan, versus number 7 Apple Valley, who upset Waseca and Maple Grove. Chaska controlled the tempo in the first half because of plays like this. Good defense by the Hawks forced a miss by Apple Valley's Kamar Young. Then on the other end, Chase Metzold working hard under the basket and getting the hoop for the 11-point lead. They'd lead by 8 at the half. Though it wasn't there the whole night, the 3-point shot kept Apple Valley in the game in the second half. Trey Parker and Tyrese Hutton hit some shots, including this Hutton 3-pointer, pulling the Eagles within 4. Apple Valley was 5 of 8 from distance with that shot. Unsigned senior Trey Parker ended the night with a game-high 33 points, 6 of 16 from the 3-point line. Hutton scored 11, hitting 3 threes. Chaska could hit the 3 as well, as this tray by Chase Metzold stopped an Eagle run and led to a double-digit lead for the Hawks. Though they may not be exciting highlights, the free throws helped Chaska hold on. Kalen Jokum scored the final 10 points for Chaska, going 8 of 8 from the free throw line in that stretch. Chaska holds on to win 63-55. It's the second state title for Chaska, with the first one coming all the way back in 2004. Jokum and Jed Keenan each scored 12 points, while Tyler Forrest had 11 and Chase Metzold scored 10. There's still plenty more coming up on the NSPN Prep Update. We take a closer look at the Tartan boys basketball team, one of only 2 teams that came into this year's tournament undefeated. And we take a walk through nature with the Bears and Blue Jays. But first, it's trivia time. What school has won the most boys basketball championships? The answer, as well as our school snapshot featuring a unique mascot, when we return.
New journey.
Division 3 straight to Division 1.
New energy. Same standard.
The Tommies have climbed to the peak of the summit.
And your Pioneer Football League champions wear purple and gray.
No limits. Welcome to St. Thomas Athletics.
When the big game is about to start and the weather is less than ideal.
Nope. Nope.
Stay in and catch the big game on NSPN.
And the Pioneers try to break through the middle. Penalty is coming, so is the goaltender, and it's an open net for Whistler, who scores! John Whistler, and that...
Your neighborhood sports network.
Your trivia question was, what school has won the most championships in boys basketball? The answer is De La Salle with 12 titles. Their first came in 1985, and the most recent was 2019. Welcome back to the NSPN Prep Update, coming to you this week from Target Center, home of the Wolves, and of course, the Boys State Basketball Tournament. 2 teams come into state this year with a perfect record. Henning went 30-0 in Class A, and Tartan 29-0 in Class 4A. Andrea Mayu has more.
How can you tell if a team has found its groove?
I get to be with my brothers every single day. I never got to experience this, and it just feels great.
Rattling off 29 straight wins and beating your section arch nemesis are pretty good signs.
If we put all of it together, like throughout all these practices, all these film sessions, all these workouts, I honestly thought we had the potential.
The Tartan Titans dominated the regular season, topping some of the state's best in Class 4A, like Maple Grove, Hopkins, and Cretin-Durham Hall.
Honestly, our energy, like, we'll come down, get in a defensive stance, all of us will play defense, and then it just like, the defense leads to offense, and then when we're running up and down the court, not many teams can keep up with us.
We love running on the break, fast breaks, rebounds, turnovers, whatever it is, we love going.
And finally, for the Tartan Titans, the Stars have a line.
The Raiders knocked out the Titans in the section final game for 4 consecutive years, and this year's matchup between CDH proved to be the toughest test of the season, forcing Tartan to overtime.
How bad do you really want it, right? Like, because we have the game plan out, but it's like, that's all on paper. Like, it don't matter what's on paper, as long as you, like, if you don't come to play, then it don't matter what's on paper.
Gargan finishes it off!
The crowd was so loud, the gym was so loud, you could not get anything across to the kids. So all the stuff they did on the floor was all them and their training through the year. So not only as individuals, but as a team. So they're pretty resilient and pretty trustworthy.
KJ Wilson's 25 points led the way to the section title. He averages 23 points a game as a sophomore.
The Titans to Minneapolis.
It didn't feel real at first, but then I had to like sit down and think about it. Everything was in the moment. I was just super excited.
KJ missed a shot. He's still shooting the next shot, and that's a great attitude to have because, like, there's a famous quote that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So, and we're fine with him taking them shots. He keeps making them, so it's like, he's like, you can't say nothing.
His sophomore classmate, Emmanuel Oyusomni, and transfer Duke King averaged 14 points a game. As a young team with new faces, figuring out how to gel was a challenge they had to overcome.
The old term I use all the time is know your role, accept your role, be a star in your role. I would say the number one thing about all of our guys is they really don't care who gets the credit. My question I ask him is, are you happy scoring 4 points on a given night and your team winning? If you can answer that one resoundingly yes, then you're the right guy for us.
Now the Titans head to the tournament for the first time since 2014, looking for its first title since 2000.
I'm excited for our kids and the opportunity they have, and I'm really excited for our community too. A couple of local sports bars had our game against Cretin on TV, and one of the places said that it was the loudest it's been versus any pro sports team like a Wild or a T-Wolves or a Vikings game. Said it's the loudest it's ever been. I tell the kids, you know, like, this is something that you don't take for granted. When you get to be an old guy, you're going to look back at this opportunity and say, you know, I really enjoyed it.
The Titans finding their rhythm together in hopes to keep this unbeaten season going a little longer. In Oakdale, I'm Andrea Mayu for NSPN TV.
At the start of the month, Blake was seated 9th in their own section. 5 games later, they were one of 8 teams still alive in the Class 2A state field. To hear how they pulled off their run to state, Fletcher Anderson talked with the Bears bench boss.
It was an up and down season for Blake, and after finishing the regular season 14-12, they were picked 9th in Section 5AA. After a win over 16th seed Eagle Ridge Academy in the play-in game, they went on the road to number 8 seeded Watertown Mayor with their season on the line.
You go into that 9-8 game and it kind of feels like a 50-50 game. And hey, if we win this, you know, we go play the 1 and, you know, we don't really have anything to lose.
And when they did, by a convincing margin, it was there that Coach Tyler Bewan started to sense something in his team.
But I think it's the way that we won that Watertown Mayor game. Carson had 46 points as a career high. We won by 20 and some change. And the way that we dominated that game and executed our game plan, I think it just got our guys a lot hungry for a lot more. And they realized that, you know, if we play this way, we can go get 3 more in sections. So that really was a confidence boosting game.
The reward for that performance was a date with top-seeded Holy Family, one of the most prolific offenses in the state, and coming off some major rest.
So those two games combined just definitely got the ball rolling. All meanwhile, Holy Family had 8 days off between games, and I think there is something to be said about that. We knew it was all about our second half defense. So even first half, I believe 41-38, they were still on pace for the 80s. And so it was literally on pace to be the exact same game from December where we lost by 2, 82-80, I believe. And halftime, we just talked about all the little defensive things that if we could do everything about 5% better defensively, we were going to win that game.
They were able to do just that, holding a top 10 offense in the state to just 29 second half points, including a long scoring drought coming out of the locker room. They kept that rolling into victories against number 4 seeded Minneapolis North and the 3rd seeded Marantha Christian Academy, where the defense held both to under 60 points, the 4th time in 5 section games that they accomplished that. It's an unlikely run, but even before the tournaments, Blake was moving with a little bit more swagger after a midseason W versus Belle Plaine.
I think it was probably 4 to 8 minutes to start that game. Something clicked where our guys realized, oh, we can play with these guys, and they got that confidence. Even though they're a top 10 team, even though their record is whatever it was at the time.
Belle Plaine was ranked 6th in the state at the time, and the Bears upset them with a last-second buzzer beater from Benji Dillon. Became something they harkened back to the rest of the season.
So it was a game that we definitely leaned back on, and we talked about, hey, we got to come with that Belle Plaine energy, right? That type of mentality and moxie.
Now they will need all that experience and more heading into just their 2nd tournament appearance in school history, with their first coming in 2013.
And fun story, I was actually the JV coach in the 2013 one, so I was at least able to be part of that process too. And what was really fun after the section final game is having a lot of alumni from that 2013 come up to me on the court and just reminisce on, their memories from 13 years ago and what that meant to them. And then that just brought it full circle for me, knowing all of my guys from this year are going to have those memories for 13 years and beyond. And that's what it's all about, is just getting these guys to have those lifelong memories from these types of experiences. So
the Bears head to state as the 7th seed in Class AA.
Yeah, I wish they gave a 9 seed at the state tournament, but they only got paid, so we got the 7 there.
And we'll take on Pequot Lakes in the barn, somewhere Coach Biwan has some long-lasting memories of his own.
For myself, I have some history with it. I was a student manager at the U of M for 4 years. So I worked under Tubby Smith, and I have some of my best lifetime experiences in that building.
When they walk through the gates of Williams Arena, it'll be on the back of a run that will be remembered for a very long time at Blake. For NSPN, I'm Fletcher Anderson.
There's still one more segment to go on the Prep Update. When we return, we'll chat with Waseca head coach Seth Anderson and senior Duran Russell about their state tourney journey. And our school snapshot takes us to the land of Crimson.
There's a new destination for all things Minnesota high school sports. It's called Strib Varsity. It's from the Minnesota Star Tribune, so you know it's trusted. With a deep bench to cover all of Minnesota. We've rebuilt and relaunched our MN Prep hubs and added more sports. Stories, streams, stats, scores, schedules. We have it all at Strib Varsity. Subscribe today at startribune.com/stribvarsity.
Welcome back to the NSPN Prep Update, coming to you this week from Target Center and the Boys State Basketball Tournament. Waseca won a state title in boys basketball in 2021. Their only previous title was all the way back in 1918. With Duran Russell setting records, Blue Jays fans had high hopes coming into this year's state tournament.
Waseca makes their 3rd consecutive appearance at the state tournament this year and were runners-up last year. Having been a key player, this year Duran Russell leads the team not only on the court, but off as well.
This year's team, our bond is pretty special. Past couple of years, I've been playing with, grade older than me, but this year it's kind of my grade and people I've been playing with my whole life. And this team, we work really hard, and it's very special for us to make it to state.
It was very different at the start of the year with a lot of new guys and new roles, and kind of Duran's 2026 class now kind of taking over the reins. So it was kind of a changing of the guard, if you will, for Duran to have a lot of the individual records says quite a lot about him and as our program as a whole. For him to have our all-time scoring record, our individual season scoring record, an individual game scoring record of 51. It's just an incredible feat. When you list the names of the Waseca greats that have come before him, it's quite a list of kids that for him to be the top of the list is just incredible. And there's probably nobody more deserving or more humble about being at the top of the list. Nobody that represents Waseca basketball probably better than Duran. And I've told everybody this, he not just only carries our culture on the basketball team and sets the standard on our basketball team, but he does it in the hallways and in the classrooms in the school building in our community as well. And that's probably the thing that we're going to appreciate about him the most and miss about him the most in a few months here.
It wasn't easy going at the start of the year, mostly because the Blue Jays were runners-up at the Prep Bowl.
We only had like a week of practice before our first game, and then it was just kind of all rushed because of football. But, it just took a couple of weeks to, work hard in practice and get that chemistry going with the team.
It was a really interesting start to the year. Like he said, the Waseca football team was in the state championship game. So we're already a week into practice and all the other teams were kind of gaining an upper hand. And a lot of those guys come beat up in the first week where you can't really go full speed with a lot of things. So it was a tough start to the year. Duran was in the high school all-star game. So you take him out of one of those 4 games and our strength of schedule early in the year was no joke. We had Belle Plaine right off the bat. We had New Ulm. We had St. Peter, 3 really good basketball teams in our area that kind of got us pretty good before we were ready to play midseason basketball. So kind of a compliment to the teams in our area and our conference for being ready early in the year too.
Belle Plaine was a stumbling block during the season, but Waseca got the upper hand in the section championship.
It's always hard to beat a team 3 times, especially, they beat us twice earlier this year. So, we know we kind of had to get back and get them in the section chip.
For some reason, we've been able to find a way at the end of the year every year to play our best basketball and have our best players play well and our role players play well and step up into different things.
Waseca won a state title in 2021, something that left an impression on younger Blue Jay players that again have a chance to emulate their predecessors.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a really big deal for me. Like growing up, I looked up to all them guys and I would play with them at the park and, they would definitely show me a lot of love. So just seeing them win a state chip, it definitely showed me that it's definitely possible here.
For Duran, football is the future, having committed to North Dakota State.
Early on, I started getting more attention for football, and that kind of just started sparking a little bit more. And then I kind of waited a little bit till early summer just to kind of see what, basketball attention I was getting in. It was there, but it wasn't really as there as football. And then, I grew up in a football family, so the love's always been kind of there for football.
But there's still more basketball to be played.
Making it to state's always probably the most fun for me, just bonding with the guys in the hotel and especially winning games.
I'm Justin Barrientos, NSPN.TV.
Now that the winter season is behind us, we can take a look ahead as spring sports start this coming week. Here's a look at what sports coverage we'll have outside, weather permitting, of course. We start indoors with some boys volleyball on Tuesday, Apple Valley at Park, and St. Paul Humboldt travels to Cretin-Durham Hall. On Wednesday, we get outside for the first time with some softball as Eastridge is at Mounds View Irondale. And then on Thursday, 2 games to watch starting in baseball as Farmington travels to New Prague, and later that night, some boys volleyball, Rochester Mayo at Eastridge. It's time for our school snapshot. That's when we get to know the towns, schools, and communities outside the playing field. This week, we feature a school with a unique nickname. In the northwest corner of the metro resides Maple Grove High School, a powerhouse in a growing part of the city. With an enrollment of nearly 2,300 students, Maple Grove opened in 1996, meaning this is their 30th year of existence. While those who pay attention know the achievements of the school, they had one identity crisis, their mascot. Over time, that identity became a source of pride. Principal Bart Becker.
Matt Lombardi, who is now coaching as an assistant at Minnetonka, he deserves credit for our really 2 big hashtags, which will live on as long as I'm here, of "We Are Crimson." And that was in response to our mascot, which is a leaf. We had a student, one of my former students, create on his own. He homemade a Crimson mascot to try and give meaning as to who we are, and that was in the 2000s. But our kids had no answer to the chant at games when they'd say, "What's Crimson?" and our kids had no response. And out of that evolved, we are Crimson. No other high school has a mascot that is a Crimson.
Maple Grove's boys soccer team has been one step away from a state title the last 2 seasons. Their colleagues in the fall, the Crimson football team, added their second state 6A title last year and will be a favorite in November. All their athletic programs are competitive, and they offer a myriad of opportunities to students with an ever-expanding curriculum. People may ask, what's a Crimson? Principal Becker knows his students have the answer.
Really, really proud of our positive school culture and climate. We have a tremendous amount of school pride that is built over the years, but we have reached a level, and it is most visible and seen in person and on social media at our all-school pep fests, where everyone wants to be a part of it. And it doesn't celebrate sports, it doesn't celebrate fine arts, it doesn't celebrate seniors, it celebrates every aspect of our school.
That's it for this episode of the NSPN Prep Update. Special thanks to our hosts here at Target Center and, of course, the Minnesota State High School League. We'll see you next week for the start of the spring sports season. For Hannah, JB, Jake, Andrea, Fletcher, and the rest of the NSPN crew, I'm Ryan Phelps, saying so long from the Neighborhood Sports Network.